Let me tell you something most people learn too late in life. Not every battle is worth fighting. Not every voice deserves a response. And not every fool needs to be corrected. Because when you argue with someone who's not interested in understanding, just interested in being loud, you lose something far more valuable than the argument. You lose your peace. You lose your focus. You lose your time. And time, my friend, is the one currency you never get back. See, there's a certain kind of person out there. They thrive off chaos. They provoke. They twist. They bait. They throw shade and then act confused when you defend yourself. They don't want truth. They want attention. They don't want wisdom. They want control. And if you step into their arena thinking you're about to educate, elevate, or illuminate them, you're about to waste your time. You ever tried to argue with someone who's not even listening? Someone who's not even thinking critically? Someone who just wants to win, even if it means sounding foolish? That's not a conversation. That's a trap. That's a setup. And the moment you respond, you've already lost, because now you're playing their game. And trust me, they've mastered it. Let me ask you something. Why are you explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you? Why are you trying to convince those who don't even respect the foundation you stand on? Why are you casting your pearls in front of swine, hoping they'll admire the shine? You don't argue with ignorance. You don't negotiate with nonsense. You walk away with dignity, because silence isn't weakness. Silence is strength. It's not surrender. It's strategy. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing, because your energy is sacred. Your mind is precious. Your mission is too important to be distracted by people whose only goal is to pull you down. You weren't built to roll around in the mud with people who live for the mess. You were built to rise. You were built to lead. And sometimes leadership looks like walking away. The old you might have gotten triggered, might have typed the paragraph, might have made the phone call, might have clapped back in the comments. But the new you understands the cost. You understand that peace is more valuable than pride. You understand that clarity is more powerful than chaos. And understand this: when you argue with a fool, people watching from the outside can't tell the difference. When you lower yourself to their level, you're not pulling them up, you're dragging yourself down. So protect your name by not speaking it in foolish rooms. Protect your vision by not explaining it to blind minds. Protect your spirit by not inviting it into battles it was never meant to fight. This world is noisy. Everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's got something to say. But not everything that demands your attention deserves your response. Some things you don't need to fight. You just need to outlive them, outgrow them, outshine them. Because the truth is, results speak. Excellence speaks. Consistency speaks. And those things speak louder than any clapback ever could. So when someone disrespects you, don't try to match their disrespect. Just keep building. Keep showing up. Keep walking with integrity. Let your actions drown out their noise. Let your success silence their ignorance. You don't have time to sit in the mud arguing with people who don't even know what clean looks like. You don't have time to explain your elevation to people who are committed to staying low. You don't have time to argue about your purpose with people who don't even have direction. Because here's the truth. Fools will always try to pull you into their storm, but the wise stay rooted in peace and pull others into their calm. Don't let their storm become your storm. Don't let their chaos become your environment. Don't let their noise become your narrative. Stay focused. Stay grounded. Stay above it. Let me break it down like this. You don't chase every dog that barks, because if you do, you'll never reach your destination. Every minute spent explaining yourself to someone who doesn't care to listen is a minute stolen from your purpose. And your purpose is too divine, too unique, too necessary to waste on petty arguments. You know what real strength is? Real strength is restraint. It's walking away when your ego wants to fight. It's staying calm when the room is trying to ignite you. It's being still when everything in you wants to swing. That's mastery. That's discipline. That's what separates the wise from the loud. See, arguing with fools is like throwing water on a grease fire. It only spreads. It only consumes. The more you try to douse it with reason, the bigger the flames grow. Because they're not looking for resolution. They're looking for reaction. And when you give it to them, you feed the fire. Let them talk. Let them gossip. Let them misunderstand you. It's not your job to convince them of who you are. Your job is to stay on mission, to keep building in silence until the noise becomes irrelevant. Because the truth is, you don't owe everyone access to your energy. Just because they invite you into conflict doesn't mean you have to RSVP. There's a reason eagles don't flap around with pigeons. They soar at altitudes where the air is too thin for nonsense. That's where you belong. Not in the comment section of some fool's opinion. Not in the group chat of drama. Not in the trenches of low-level bickering. You belong up there, where peace lives, where growth happens, where legacy is built. Now, I'm not saying let people walk all over you. I'm not saying tolerate disrespect. But know the difference between standing your ground and stepping into a trap. Not every attack deserves a response. Not every insult requires a rebuttal. Some things you outgrow simply by not reacting. Because when you don't engage, you disarm them. When you don't respond, you rise above. And when you rise above, you give them no power. That's what they fear. That's what burns them up inside. Not your words, but your silence. Not your reaction, but your refusal to stoop low. You want to know how to truly win in life? Win without needing validation. Win without needing revenge. Win by staying unshakable when everything around you is trying to rattle your peace. That's how the greats do it. That's how legacy is built. Not in the noise, but in the stillness. So the next time someone tries to bait you into an argument, ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Is this worth my peace? Is this going to build me or distract me? Because every time you engage with foolishness, you slow your momentum. Every time you let someone pull you down, you lose the elevation you worked so hard for. And let's be clear, some people will poke you just to feel powerful. Some people will insult you just to get a rise out of you. Don't give them that satisfaction. Don't let your spirit become their playground. Don't turn your purpose into their entertainment. Stand tall, stay silent, and let your life speak for itself. Because in the end, it's not about proving them wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's about staying aligned with the mission. It's about being so focused on your goals, your vision, your destiny, that nothing can pull you off track. Not drama, not gossip, not ignorance, nothing. You see, peace is a power move. Silence is a strategy. Maturity is mastery. And once you've tasted peace, chaos feels like poison. So stop explaining yourself to people who aren't even listening. Stop wasting your wisdom on ears that only want entertainment. Stop arguing with fools and start walking in power. You've got too much vision to be getting into verbal street fights with people who ain't even trying to grow. Think about it. How many blessings have you missed because you were too busy reacting? How many moments of peace did you trade for petty replies? How much mental real estate are you giving away to people who aren't paying rent? You ever seen a lion respond to every barking dog in the jungle? Of course not. The lion moves like royalty, like it's already decided, like it has nothing to prove. That's how you have to move, with confidence, with poise, with a vision that's too big for small talk. You want to be respected? Start valuing your energy like it's gold. Because it is. And when you waste it arguing with fools, you're treating gold like gravel. You're treating your gift like it's disposable. And that's not who you are. They'll try to pull you into debates you never asked for, into gossip you never fed, into arguments that drain your soul. And you've got to learn the discipline of non-response, not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. Let them say what they say. Let them twist your words. Let them misinterpret your silence. Because while they're busy talking about you, you're busy building. While they're pointing fingers, you're leveling up. And eventually, their words will echo into emptiness because you were too focused to care. That's what maturity looks like. It looks like turning your attention inward, on your growth, on your health, on your calling. And when you do that, you become unshakable. Because when you argue with someone who's not interested in truth, you're not exchanging ideas. You're just adding fuel to their fire. And fools love fire. They love the noise, the chaos, the spotlight. And the moment you react, you're giving them a stage. But listen, you are not an actor in their show. You're the director of your destiny. You don't owe anyone a reaction just because they throw you a line. You don't need to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't need to justify your growth to people who refuse to water their own. You've got too much going on, too much potential, too much power, and every second spent defending yourself to someone who doesn't even want to understand you, that's a second you could have spent building your future. Let them misunderstand you. Let them think they won. Let them gossip and whisper and post and tweet. Because while they're busy watching, you're busy rising. You're getting sharper, stronger, clearer, calmer. And that right there, that's what they can't handle. They don't know how to deal with someone who doesn't flinch, who doesn't clap back, who doesn't fall into the trap. They want your attention more than they want the truth. Don't give it to them. Not your voice, not your energy, not your light. Because some arguments are like quicksand. The more you fight, the deeper you sink. The more you try to prove yourself, the more you lose yourself. The more you respond, the more they win. So choose your peace over your pride. Choose your purpose over your ego. Choose your future over the foolishness of the moment. This ain't about being passive. This is about being powerful. Because real power doesn't react. It directs. It decides. It focuses. It rises. So the next time someone throws shade your way, smile and walk on. Not because you're scared to fight, but because you know your fight is bigger than them. It's not in the dirt. It's in your discipline. And let me tell you this. You don't need to defend your light to people who live in darkness. You don't need to explain your progress to those who never wanted you to grow in the first place. Some folks ain't confused. They're just comfortable with ignorance. And your growth threatens their comfort. Your presence alone will convict people. Your evolution will expose their stagnation. Your success will offend those who never believed in discipline. And that's okay. That's not your burden to carry. That's not your business to fix. Because when people can't control you, they'll try to provoke you. When they can't limit you, they'll try to distract you. And when they can't understand you, they'll try to tear you down. But don't you shrink. Don't you stoop. Don't you trade your throne for their theater. You were not called to convince. You were called to conquer. You were not made to argue. You were made to ascend. So keep your circle small and your focus sharp. Don't let gossip get in the way of greatness. Don't let distractions drown your discipline. And don't let foolish voices rob you of divine direction. See, every moment you spend in useless conflict is a moment you could have spent creating. Every clap back is energy that could have gone into your calling. Every argument is time stolen from your assignment. and your assignment is too heavy to carry if you're constantly picking up other people's garbage. You want to live a legendary life? Learn how to walk away. Learn how to bite your tongue when your ego is screaming. Learn how to let your results respond for you. Because your peace is your power, your calm is your crown, and your silence, that's your signal to the world that you're built different, that you don't fold under pressure, that you don't entertain drama, that you've got better things to do, because you do. They'll try to bait you, they'll poke at you, they'll try to drag you into emotional mud. But kings don't brawl in the streets, queens don't scream in the hallway, visionaries don't waste time arguing with spectators. So when someone says something disrespectful, remember, it says more about them than it does about you. When someone tries to argue, remember, that's a reflection of their chaos, not your character. And when someone tries to pull you down, remember, they can't reach you if you don't come off that mountain. And let's be real, if arguing with them was going to change their mind, it would have worked already. If defending yourself was going to make them respect you, they'd already be clapping. But they're not. Because they're not watching to learn. They're watching to laugh. They're not listening to grow. They're listening to gossip. So give them nothing, no explanation, no reaction, no spotlight. Give them silence and keep moving. Because silence doesn't mean you lost. It means you've won on a level they can't comprehend. It means you've reached a frequency they can't tune into. And you don't owe them a ticket to your peace just because they're loud. Some of the most powerful people in history never raised their voices. They moved in stillness. They built in silence. They endured slander without ever lifting a finger. And the world remembered them not for what they said back, but for what they became. Now listen to me carefully, because this is where most people mess up. They think that walking away makes them weak. That silence makes them soft. That maturity makes them easy to disrespect. But let me tell you something. The real ones don't react. They rebuild. The real ones don't shout. They sharpen. The real ones don't chase claps. They chase calling. See, you don't have to attend every battle you're invited to. You don't have to swing at every insult that comes your way. You don't have to explain your worth to someone who's already decided they won't see it. Some people don't want clarity. They want chaos. And you've got to be smart enough to know the difference. Because here's the truth. You're not on their level anymore. And that's why they're loud. That's why they're coming for you. That's why they want a response. Because your silence exposes their insecurity. Your peace highlights their pettiness. Your progress makes their procrastination uncomfortable. And you've got to be okay with being misunderstood. You've got to be okay with being called arrogant for protecting your peace. You've got to be okay with being called selfish for choosing your sanity. Because some people are addicted to dysfunction. And the moment you choose growth, you become a threat. But you're not here to shrink. You're not here to stay small. You're not here to play games with people who lost the plot a long time ago. You're here to build. You're here to rise. You're here to lead. So stay in your lane. Stay on your path. Stay rooted in what matters. They'll call you cold, but you're just clear. They'll say you've changed, but that's the whole point. They'll say you're distant, but you've simply found direction. And don't get me wrong, there'll be moments when it's tempting, when you want to clap back, when you want to prove them wrong, when you want to show them you're not the one to play with. But remind yourself, your energy is too expensive to spend on nonsense. Your mission is too great to pause for small minds. Your future is too rich to invest in bankrupt conversations. You've got places to go, things to build, lives to impact. And none of that happens if you're distracted by drama. Let them wonder. Let them whisper. Let them write the story however they want. Because while they're busy talking, you're out here writing history. And one day, they'll look up and realize that the one they tried to bait, the one they tried to pull down, the one they laughed at and lied on, became unstoppable. Not because you shouted, not because you argued, not because you got revenge, but because you stayed silent, you stayed focused, you stayed true. So here's what I need you to carry from this day forward. Your peace is more important than their opinion. Your future is louder than their gossip. Your discipline is deeper than their noise. And your silence, that's not weakness, that's strategy. See, you weren't born to be liked. You were born to lead. You weren't created to argue in circles. You were created to walk in purpose. And some people, they're not part of the plan. They're part of the lesson. They were there to teach you patience, to teach you restraint, to teach you self-control. Because arguing with them would have cost you your progress. Fighting with them would have cost you your focus. And letting them pull you in, that would have cost you your crown. So don't you dare give that away. You walk different now. You see clearer now. You move smarter now. And the truth is, you never needed to fight to win. You just needed to outlast. You just needed to outgrow. You just needed to show up, stay focused, and do the work. Because while they were playing games, you were planting seeds. And while they were talking, you were transforming. So don't argue with them. Elevate beyond them. Don't match their energy. Rise above it. Don't explain yourself. Let the results make the noise. Because there's a level of power that doesn't need to raise its voice. There's a level of discipline that doesn't need applause. There's a level of peace that can't be shaken by fools, by noise, or by nonsense. That's the level you're on now. That's who you're becoming. And if anybody ever asks you why you don't argue anymore, why you don't clap back, why you don't stoop down, you look them in the eye and say, because I'm building something too big to be distracted by someone thinking too small. Now go live like that. Live with clarity. Live with strength. Live with a silence that shakes the room. Live with a discipline that speaks for itself. Let the fools argue. Let the critics whisper. Let the doubters scream. But you move like thunder. Because kings and queens don't respond to noise. They respond to purpose. And yours? It's calling. Don't miss it by talking to someone who's not even listening. Walk on. Work in silence. And let the results humble everybody. Whoever thought you needed to argue to prove your worth. You never did. You just needed to remember who you were all along. And now, you walk like it. If you made it this far, drop 100 in the comments so I know you're part of the 1% who's serious about growth.